Can I mix creepy and fancy into one fashion accessory that could also actually be perfect for a Halloween outfit? I love skulls and skeleton and the goth and dark aesthetic, but I also like things that sparkle. To be or not to be a disco ball? Obviously, I also love to wear something that is a bit weird and whimsy. Just walk the line between fabulous and ridiculous. Can we just appreciate how perfect this antique vest fits over my pumpkin shirt? It looks like it was done on purpose. It wasn't. Bonjour, I'm Ariel, your friendly French crafter with a love for weird fashion, obviously. And welcome to my channel and closet. I only have a few days before Halloween and I want to make something creepy but that is also wearable, like in a fashion statement kind of way. And also can fit nicely in a lot of my black outfits. I love to wear black clothes and I just love to wear black clothes and this guy loves them as well. Tu mets des poils sur tout le monde, n'est-ce pas? So I guess we shall see what we can do in the sewing room. Good morning, I'm back in my favorite room. The sun is... meh. Well, we have some light. I have only 3 days for this project, on top of a few appointments and meetings I have to go to. But Halloween is coming soon and I really want to have at least one project that is a bit creepy, spooky themed. So, what do we do? What's the plan? Ooh, sunshine! So I have done some research, and by that I mean a ton of time on Pinterest. So the idea is to have a few soft pieces that I can connect together. It's not gonna be a costume, it's not gonna be jewelry, it's gonna be something in between that I can layer on top of something else, maybe different kinds of costume. So I should be able to sew something together, make a few different pieces. I have a lot of fabrics that are in small amounts but have very nice texture, so maybe I can do something with that. And hopefully it's not going to be too much work.
You're wrong.
While still looking cute. He's literally moving the camera right now. So the plan is to make a few pieces that are gonna be connected with some rings, and I'm gonna add a ton of fake pearls because I have a lot of that from wedding decoration. Okay, merci. I have 3 of these rings and I think I'm gonna use them as connector for one here on the neck and one on each shoulder, so I can maybe use the pieces separately, maybe just have the torso and not the arms. So one here on the front and here the shoulder should work like that. Let's gather some supplies. Tu chouignes. Tu chouignes beaucoup, je trouve, aujourd'hui. Quelque chose à dire? Grosse perle. Maybe some buttons. Maybe lace. Pieces of wedding decor. I've also brought my own jewelry. Okay, this is a bit broken, but this looks cute. Maybe I can combine them without destroying it. Nice. I also have that. It's made of key rings. So we have plenty of hardware to use. Fabrics. Shiny boxes. It's only scraps of white, but that should be enough. Lace. Some of it is antique that's been gifted to me and some of it is leftover from when I made wedding dresses. I'm not a huge fan of lace, but sometimes it works. This is the hoard. Beads and pearls and everything that is light colored. Leftovers I made from my Jasky costume because the necklace broke a while ago. Hardware, lace and costume jewelry. Sequin scraps, I think this one I'm very interested in. Lace, pieces of placemats. And I had these fabrics which are very shiny, I don't know if I'm gonna use them. These 3 I did buy when I wanted to make this project 2 years ago. I don't have any issue with the decoration part, I will just add wherever it feels right, but it's for the construction. I need to test these fabrics to make sure which one will be the best to make bows. Okay, this looks terrible. Should make the same piece with all of these fabrics to make sure. Testing is important, guys. Ta-da! This is bad. I don't like that the lace is too obvious. So no. I'm kind of disappointed by the sequence. This is the one I had the most hope for, and the texture is okay, but like the edges are gonna be very messy on the whole thing. I love the shine on this one, and especially this one, but I don't think it's the right fabric for this project. I tried with the horsehair leftover from this dress, and the transparency could be interesting to work with, but I think it's gonna be a pain, and also this varies so much. Probably not the best choice for this project. Those one I like because this fabric almost has a bone texture. This one I really like the tiny details, the subtle shine. These I can almost make into some kind of realistic bone texture. What I'm thinking right now is that this is very soft, but if I paint it, it would make it a little bit more sturdy. And I could even add some bone-like shading and color, which is not too far to the colors of the pearls. Maybe that will make the whole thing more cohesive, because this is a pretty weird and creepy project, but I want it to be wearable and beautiful. Well, I'm gonna try that. Okay, I just realized if I paint it, why bother with fabric at all? I have some scrap of foam that I use for cosplay, but I don't know. Let me show you. Look at this thing that I made a few years back. Yeah, I made a whole bone armor. That still looks pretty cool. It's all foam that I painted and sculpted, and it is not damaged at all, but I don't trust the foam to be sturdy, especially if it has a bunch of metal and plastic dangles that are rubbing on it everywhere. Foam does not take scratches very well, even though that would be super easy to make any shape I want with. So what are we thinking? I mean, that's a vibe, no? I got it. I have the solution. Paint and leather, because I have a lot of scraps of this very thick leather. Leather takes paint very well. I can carve some things on it. It still has a bit of flexibility, and I can add holes in them and add metal rings. I'm not scared of it breaking compared to this with a lot of dangles. And I don't need to buy any new materials, which is nice. This is not bad. I think the vision will work. I'll try to make one vertebrae in leather to make sure that the paint works out, and then draw the pieces more neatly. That shoulder blade might be a little small. I'll worry about the arm later. I don't know how long this is gonna be. So I'm not an expert, probably gonna make a few changes to what a skeleton looks like. There is the round tube and there is the spiky part. I'll make this flat so it works with the leather, because leather can be shaped a little bit, so I could make it slightly like that. Yeah, should work out. A very interesting property of the leather that doesn't have any finishing on it, like this one, is that you can carve it. For me, it's halfway between carving wood and carving maybe something like clay that is very malleable. You can make all sorts of design with leather. It also takes color very well. Of course, leather dyes are the best, but I've used different pigments before, even inks. There are also a lot of different paints, especially for leather, but they are a bit expensive and I don't have any on hand, so I'm just gonna use acrylics here. And if used only in thin layers, I've never had any trouble with it. No mess, no bubbling, and still flexible. The leather looks great with the paint. I think it needs to be a bit shiny, so I'm gonna try to add a bit of glossy varnish. It's a bit old, but the other one too. Obviously, I'm not someone who will judge you for hoarding craft supply. I am very guilty of that. It doesn't look like it too much because I'm also very organized. But if there is one thing that should not be hoarded, if you're not sure to use it in a reasonable amount of time, it's products. These are completely dried up and they are not used for anyone. Same for paint and markers and anything that has a shelf life. Trash. I have a little bit left in this one. If that works, I don't know if it's enough for the whole thing, but let's try. try this one as well. No. So while this dries, I'm gonna start working on the collar because this is where it's gonna start and I'm gonna attach everything to it. Always clip your corners, add notches on any curved edges. I'm gonna add a few boning channels, just a tiny bit to help support the weight of the necklace. I'm gonna use simple plastic bones there, it's not very fancy corset, just enough, just enough to hold it in place. Just this one. Also, this part will be where the ring is. This. I send the back here. That doesn't look so bad. Attends, je vais te pousser 2 secondes. C'est pas du tout dans la caméra. I think this is the perfect size. I'm gonna finish the top part with some bias beading. Look, just like you would with an actual corset. And then I have a perfect base for adding all the decoration and the weight. Oui. I have the structure finished here, it's all nice and finished. It's kind of like a tiny corset in a way. I mean, it has boning channels and boning and it's not gonna be visible, it's gonna be covered in fake pearls. So now I can cut the leather, I can pattern the actual skeleton. This is basically dry, so this is how it looks. I tried the leather finishing on one side and the varnish on the other. Honestly, the difference is barely visible. It's basically the same color as the pearls, so it should match pretty nicely, but I was thinking that I don't want this to be too creepy, so maybe let's see if we can add a bit of shine to this. I'm gonna try to add a bit of makeup, some pearlescent eyeshadow or highlighter, I don't know. But maybe I can make my bones match the pearls a little better. Does look pretty nice. It vibes pretty well with the pearls. Also, I did some testing with the different pieces of hardware that I have available. I do have a little bit of those because I think they were for curtains at some point. They could be useful here. And it's just a hole in the leather and I'm not scared that it's gonna mess up the thing or come off at some point. This is a more subtle and less creepy paint job than on this one. It's gonna be very cute. What do you think? Years of scraps that I can finally use. This leather is quite thick. I don't have the special tools for cutting it, but a box cutter with a sharp blade will do the job. There is no need for seam allowance, but there is also no room for error. So what I do is cut a piece and put it in place and then try on the next piece. Every piece is supposed to move independently, so I can adjust each piece without having it affect the others. Well, hopefully not too much. And of course I'm taking some liberties in terms of medical accuracy of what an actual skeleton looks like. I am not a doctor, I'm just going for the aesthetic. But now I'm thinking that it would be a pretty cool thing to do if you are a biology teacher. A lot of pieces have been cut. I think the last that I need in leather are the arms. And this mannequin doesn't have arms, but I have two. I'm out and about in the town, red, I'm coming around. There ain't no doubt about it, I'm no longer blue. So
glad we are through. Just me, myself, and I.
Okay, I cannot bend my arm, but should be fine. I know there are 2 bones in there, so you can do this, but today 1 is good enough. Okay. Nice. Let's fix that kind of. Hop. Tu vas être dans ta nouvelle vidéo. Tu vas être dans ma nouvelle vidéo, mais il n'y a pas de son. Donc, tu seras dans un time-lapse en accéléré. Cool. Mais tu sauras que tu y es.
Et je me regarderai, je dirais, là au téléphone c'est moi, et je montrerai à tous mes amis en disant que je suis célèbre.
C'est ça. With all the pieces cut, I use this magnificent bevel tool to cut out all the edges of the leather because they are very sharp, and I do that while the leather is still dry. And it is a very pleasant and satisfying step. Good morning! Bonjour! Vous avez bien dormi? Today is the last day that I scheduled to work on this project.
You're wrong.
This might be a little ambitious, but at least I have like almost a full day free to work on that. So I'm gonna work on some leather tooling, and if you have never done that, I think it's a very nice craft to try. It's basically like sculpting with leather. And this project is very organic, so it doesn't have to be perfectly perfect like something with geometric So organic motifs are my favorite to do with leather. Let me show you the tools I'm gonna use. So we have the cut pieces over there. I have some water. This is my test piece for reference. I just put an old tile as my surface because I need something really hard. Ideally, that would be a huge piece of like a hard stone or maybe an anvil because I'm going to hammer on it. I put an old towel underneath so I don't have too much vibration and too much noise on the wooden table. And it helps if I spill some water. Also, I have at least 30 of those in the garage, so I don't care if I break it. Tools! A very simple mallet. I added a piece of leather so it gets less damaged. This one I don't need, it was the thing to bevel the edges from yesterday. This swivel knife, you put your finger here and you can rotate the blade and make like very slow cuts into the leather. And also you see that the blade is very wide. So when it cuts the leather, it kind of opens both sides and it makes the designs more visible. I also have a few leather tooling tools. Some have textures, others don't. And I use those with the mallet. I have this that I cannot remember the name in English. This is helpful to rub the edges and make them less sharp. So you go from something that is a bit rough to an edge that is more rounded and smooth. I use a piece of wood to just randomly add some detailing, nothing fancy, and this awl to make little holes or to push the leather. Sometimes the sculpting tools don't have to be very specific like this, it just can be just random things. You can even use a pen, a nail, a screw, whatever fits the designs or texture you're looking for. It's gonna take a while, so I'm gonna watch a show at the same time, and I might need more coffee. Listen to the sound of the leather in the water. So after I make a tiny cut, I just flatten one side and it gives this impression of a sort of depth. The vertebrae I'm gonna keep pretty simple because they're very small. And I usually work on the edge at the end because with all the leather tooling, it can like misshape this edge. So I prefer to do the rounding at the end when I finished the piece. Usually I go a little bit from wider to smaller to turn this into this. I don't know how well you see the difference on the camera, but I see it. And now that I'm happy with the texture, I'm just folding it in the shape that I want while it's still wet. And I leave it to dry like this. And that's how I made one vertebrae. Now I need to make 30 more bones, which is probably not how many bones are in a human body. Je dois savoir maintenant. The correct number is actually between 206 and 213. What do you mean between? Babies have 270 and they fuse together when you grow up. Fascinating. I'm gonna stick with 30 now, okay?
Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Corpo assim não se vê nem na revista, nem no TikTok ou no Instagram de artista. Corpo de mestiça, de tanta coisa boa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa. Da primeira vez que eu te vi, menina, meu coração pulou pra boca. Corpão assim não se vê nem na revista, nem no TikTok ou no Instagram de artista. Corpo de mestiça, de tanta coisa boa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa. Te quero dar beijo na garoa.
And the hands are here. So now I'm gonna paint them off-white, add a bit of detailing. So I've done 2 layers of paint on all my pieces, as you can see. I did not finish the paint, so it will have to wait for tomorrow because I'm really hungry now. But the finishing touches like this are gonna be pretty fast, and then it's just varnish. But still at night I added the pearls to the collar. Those have a flat back, so they should be a little less bulky. Since it's fabric, it looks nicer to just sew them by hand. Last day.
You're wrong.
I think I said that yesterday. I'm using the most basics brown acrylic colors. I only need the tiniest amount because I'm gonna add a lot of water. The idea is just to make the details pop a little bit. I think this technique is called a wash, having a very diluted paint and it just runs into the nooks and crannies. You wipe off the excess and it makes all your details pop. It's kind of the opposite of dry brushing. Look at the difference it makes. It's still a bit subtle, but I think it makes the whole thing much more realistic. I really like how it looks. So all the shading has been finished, and now I'm gonna add a bit of leather finishing on that to protect my paint. Done. And while this dries, I'm gonna get some lunch. Bon appétit. And now, makeup. C'est flou, c'est flou. The difference is not huge, but I think it works in making it more like a pearl, more fancy. Oh, you don't see anything on the camera. I think the shine is subtle enough to be discreet, but still making it more elevated in a way. And now finally I can assemble the pieces. I punch a bunch of holes where it makes sense on those bones. I want the whole thing to be articulated so I can, like, move. I think it's more jewelry than a costume. Well, I guess more like 15 pieces of jewelry. I really did not expect this whole thing to take so much time. But I'm glad I chose those techniques. It makes me want to explore accessories a bit more. It reminded me how much I love leather tooling. I think I'm gonna get back into making bags because I love that. And also with the ton of random crap that I've accumulated over the years, I have so much material to make the most random jewelry. And the accessories can always make or break an outfit. I want to do sculpting, I want to do soldering. There is never enough time to explore all the hobbies that I want to. But let's finish this first, because at that point I tried to put the thing on.
No.
So, it's all a mess. First of all, my hooks and eyes here are not working well because having to put it on by yourself on the back of your neck, and I don't find them easily just by touch. And also I can't pull the fabric too much because I need to breathe. So that's the first thing that I need to fix. And also the spine. The spine needs to be attached to the collar, but it attaches to the center of the collar, which is also the closing. So I cannot attach both sides on the spine. Since this collar is basically a corset, I think I can fix all my problem by adding just some lacing, and the lacing goes through the bones as well. That should fix it. We'll try.
No.
This might be even worse. I've sewn a clasp that maybe I can hide with some pearls later.
No.
But it's not working super well and it might detach if I move. I do have one last ring that opens. Maybe I can find a solution. So I have removed a little bit of the collar. I have removed also one vertebrae. And to put it on, I just need to open that ring and to pass it through this ribbon. Let's see if that works. Now, let's do some beading. This is all the pearls I have, big one, medium and small. And these are the ones that are already attached, like glued on this string. Also, these are for event decor, so they are a lot less quality than these ones. I mean, everything is plastic, of course, but they look much nicer. I don't have that many big ones, so I'm gonna try to make sure that they are on the top of the ribs here. I'm using this old fishing line to hang them because this is sturdy enough and I don't want my ribs to fall out, you know? Like the giraffe with the necklace. Oh, mon nouveau collier! Oh non! Oh non, mon collier! Oh zut! Oh zut! Oh non! Oh zut! So I'm making a simple knot with the fishing line, 2 small rings attached to a bigger rings attached to the leather. This might fall off from the gap on the ring. Starting to look very nice. I think I'm gonna add one more here. This looks a bit empty. I want to start adding some of my pre-made rows of pearls, and those plastic pearls are actually glued on the string underneath. So if I want a little bit of string to attach to something else, I need to break those. And I think I'll use a hammer, so it might be a little messy. So to take care of the mess, we're whipping out the sanding box. It's actually just an IKEA box and I put 2 holes there with some fabric and a piece of acrylic on top. But I can put my hand inside it and make a whole mess and it's not going anywhere. And I struggled way too long with the string to think about using a crochet hook to make my knots. And some were small enough to go through the pearls themselves. Final touches on the arms, I added a few chains to have all the little bones go through my fingers. Some rings would have been better, but I didn't have any. And I'm hiding the mess in the back of the neck by just gluing some pearls where I messed up. And with that, the project is finished.